project pegging is supported in Infor Factory Track in the Warehouse Mobility module. The transactions which support it are all in the Inventory submenu. If we look at inquiries first, if I do an item inquiry of an item which has pegs associated with it, then when I scan in the item number and ask for the item details, a button appears in the bottom right saying peg details. This shows that in this warehouse, this item has some project pegs. If I click on it, I can actually see what those pegs are. I can click on back and I can still drill down to look at the locations or the lots or the dates that are related to the inventory. Similarly, if I look at the location inquiry, if I scan in a warehouse, in this case it has no locations, I can see the inventory, and again I can see what the peg details are for that particular warehouse. If I click on the item details, I can see the different stop points that go to make up that quantity. A number of the update transactions also support project pegging. If we look at the physical inventory transaction, if I scan in my cycle count order and then the item that I'm performing the count on, in this case it's date related, so I have to scan in the date. I'm just going to select it from the pop-up in this instance. And if I say there are 48 that I've counted and hit submit, in this case it will detect that it's project pegged and will say please specify which pegs have been removed, because there were 50 there, I've only counted 48, so it wants me to account for the 2 that are no longer there. So I'll select the project and the activity and say it's both of those related to that particular project. Similarly, if I use the cycle count transaction, I can scan in the cycle count order number and it will display the remaining lines to be counted. In this case it's just a single one. I'll scan in the item number to confirm I'm counting the right item, and in this case I'll say there are 52 that I've actually counted. When I hit submit, it will ask me for an additional 2, so I'll specify that there are 2 against activity 2 and submit it. Having processed the cycle count order in LN, if I now go back to the inquiries and have a look at this particular item, then I will see that I've still got 100 in stock, but in fact they're made up of now 48 in one stock point and 52 in another. And similarly, the peg details are split 48 against activity 1 and 52 against activity 2. Other transactions which support it are the write-on, write-off and the inventory adjustment transactions. If I look at the write-on, say I'm writing on that particular item. If I select the first of the dates where there are currently 48, if I now account and say I'm writing on another 12, then it will take me to this form and say, okay, which peg am I going to put them against? I'll put these against peg 1. Again, if I wanted to, I could say I would have 10 against one peg and 2 against another. If I want to do a write-off now for the same item, if I pick the second date this time, so there were 52, and now going to write off 12. Again, I'm going to pick the activity 2 this time, and again I'm going to write off the entire 12 against that particular peg. So I've removed that peg. Similarly, if I do an adjustment, if I scan in my item number, I select one of the dates. I'll select the first date this time, so I've got 60 in stock. If I say I've actually recounted and there are actually 55, then it will detect that I need to account for a discrepancy of 5. So I'll say, well, in this case, it's a negative discrepancy. So I'm going to take all 5 away from this project. So again, now having completed all of these, if I go back to my item inquiry, I will see that as far as this item is concerned, I've got 95 in stock, and that is made up of 2 stock points of 40 and 55. And if I look at the pegging details, then I should still have 55 and 40, so I've got 95 pegs. This is how pegging is supported in the Infor Factory Track Warehouse Mobility module.